Quiet on set.
3, 2, 1. Quiet on set, rolling.
Oh. Everyone got real quiet. Hello, my name is Valentina V and welcome back to set. Today we are going to take it down to basics. If you're renting a light and a diffusion to light a face, what should you rent? So we're actually going to show you the different ways that lighting can affect faces based on what you put in front of the light, where you aim the light. So let's get started. I know on this channel, we do a lot of these bigger productions where we build out this whole spaceship thing or a big rotating table or whatnot. I also want to show you some basics. A lot of beginner DPs, they may look at rental websites and be like, China silk, quarter grid, poly, like it's really confusing and I get it. And cinematography is a very subjective art. So today what I really want to do is more of an experiment. Out there we have our crew. They're basically building a 12 by frame, 12 foot by 12 foot. It's usually on combo stands. And what I asked my gaffer to do is go to the rental house and rent a bunch of 12 by diffusions. We're gonna put those different diffusions in front of the light and show you exactly what it does to the quality of the light on the face. Pay attention to the intensity of the light, the way that it falls off the face, meaning how fast does it go from the brightest spot on the face to the darkest spot of the face, to the quality of the shadows as well. And what you start seeing is that the heavier the diffusion material, the less light output you get, but also the softer those shadows become. Because this is a comparison, what we really have to decide right now is the position of the light and the intensity of the light. Now, if we're trying to imitate the sun, think about it, the sun is very far away from us and it's very high up in the sky, right? So we have to do the same thing with this light. So what I want to do is to get the most punch out of this light, to bring it up to almost 100%, 95%, and then we're gonna put it up higher so that it still is going to be hitting our talent, but looking more like it's more toppy. You want to strike it?
Yep.
Yikes! What's it at right now?
95.
95, great. I want to show you what the effect of the light is doing without having the real sun in play. And you can see here, some of the real sun is actually hitting the window. So we have a large 12 by of just a black solid that we're gonna use to just block off the actual sun. In an ideal world, we'd be doing this at night so that I can fully control the lighting, but this is the real world and the neighbors get pissy around 10 p.m. So we have to do it in the daytime. So this is just the bare bulb. I'm also taking my light meter and I'm gonna take readings of every time we do any type of change, and you're gonna see it along the bottom of the screen so you know exactly how much light is being lost or gained. So I'm doing both an incident reading and a spot reading. So an incident reading means that I'm measuring the amount of light coming in at the location where we want it to hit. So right in front of her face, it's actually this little ball that's measuring it. The reflected light is I am measuring the light that's being reflected off of her skin on the brightest part of her face. So her left cheek. It's measured in stops, just like your lens would be. A light meter is a very useful tool that can still be useful even if you do have a monitor on set, because sometimes you also want a certain contrast ratio. So for example, if you had a hair light and you wanted to say, hey, I want my key light and my hair light to have the same contrast ratio, you can isolate that. Okay, that's my key light. Say I had a hair light, that's my hair light. Okay, I need to turn the hair light up, down, whatever. It's 22 on the incident, and on the spot it is 45. Yikes. That is called very bright. It's only ever gonna get darker from here on out. So this is Jessie, my CLT, or gaffer, and we've laid out all of our diffusions here in order of most diffusion to least diffusion, right? So this is quarter silk.
Very light, almost like
Yeah.
window shears.
Oh, I also brought window shears. Let me actually find it.
Oh,
It's so similar. Yeah. This I got for like $1 or $2. Very cheap, but like, look at this.
Nearly identical.
Yeah, so if you need something practical on the inside, if you don't see the top of the window and there's no curtain rod, you just take pieces of like white gaff tape or any color gaff tape or painter's tape or whatever. You just ruche it like this and like pretend that there is a curtain on the inside. So this is our second lightest. What is this one?
This is a poly silk.
Poly silk.
Definitely thicker.
It also has a little bit of a shine to it. The weaving of this is more spaced apart.
Yeah.
This one almost feels like, what does it feel like? Like polyester a little bit?
It is.
Yeah.
It is. It's poly.
Basically, oh, that's right.
Polyester.
Poly.
Yeah.
Next, quarter grid.
Yes.
And this is silent quarter grid.
Yeah.
Because sometimes it can be crunchy, especially if there's like wind or some sort of elements that you can control, AC going.
Yeah.
Let's compare. I feel like this one's maybe a little bit of a lighter. Maybe we should switch the two.
Yeah, I put these together because they're in the same family. I'd say this is in between the quarter silk and the poly silk.
And then what does the grid do? Because a lot of people may be confused with that.
So the grid focuses the light a little bit, almost like if you use a grid in front of a light.
In front of a fixture, like a honeycomb grid.
Exactly.
Or, yeah.
It focuses it just a little bit.
Next we have the half soft frost.
Yes, which is significantly thicker. A cheaper way of doing this too is buying a shower curtain.
Oh, yeah.
Provides the same effect.
This is very much shower curtain vibes. Listen to this. Sounds like a shower curtain.
It is super soft. It's in the same family as opal and Hampshire frost, but for rags, you don't really see opal because it's so loud.
You can hear it.
Yeah,
It's quite loud. Let's take a look. So the type of diffusion that you can get with the soft frost and the opal is very, very similar, except this comes in just larger sizes. It's very hard to get a large size of this.
This is very brittle.
It's also, yeah, it's very
It'll
fragile.
rip very easily.
Yeah. And our last one, which I also use as a bounce material sometimes because it's that thick, is unbleached muslin, and it's also our warmest. You need quite a powerful light if you're gonna bust through this guy. But it's also the softest.
It is.
It's also just incredibly flattering on the face.
I've been looking forward to using those.
Wow, look at that. So this is literally muslin cloth. And a lot of times you see this bleached. So you'll see this on a 12 by, it'll be white.
Yeah.
But getting the unbleached version makes the sunlight a little bit warmer, a little bit homier, and just, it works really well on skin tones, I would say.
I mean, if you have a daylight fixture and you don't have any gels, it gets closer to that tungsten look when you shoot a light through it.
I'm so excited. Okay, so let's do this. Now that we have made a mess. Rolling. I want to show you how changing a couple of things can completely change the time of day in this scene. All of this before, we were shooting as if it was the middle of the day, complete daylight, but now this is more of a sunset look. We have the unbleached muslin just like we had before, but we walked the light a little bit closer in and made it lower because the sunset is usually lower to the ground at the end of the day. And the reason that we walked it in is because it just wasn't punching hard enough through that unbleached muslin. We put some CTO in front of it, which is color temperature orange, just to make it a little bit more warm. And then for the background, it was at 100% intensity before, full daylight. Because it's a 300X, We can adjust the color temperature, so we adjusted it to tungsten and then we put a diff on it. And then we also lowered it to about 25%. And now you can see the huge difference that made to the look of the shot. This whole time we haven't seen the actual window because if we were to look outside the window, we'd see a bunch of stuff out there, right? But what if you actually need to see through that window? Well, one way to do it would be to take a giant arm, like a giant menace arm, something that can hold a very heavy load, and arm that light over above the window. But this light, it's super heavy, so what can you do?
Oh, I thought you were gonna come over and take it from me.
I'm gonna come over. Or you could just bounce it, kind of like my key light's been this whole time.
This is CRLS from Lightbridge.
It's basically just a very shiny reflector board, very lightweight, so you can arm this out and then ping a light at it. So that's exactly what we're gonna do.
Exactly. It just makes the most sense because of safety concerns.
Yeah, so we're gonna use this, we're gonna mount it above the window, out of the line of sight, and then we're gonna bounce that 1200E into it. Let's do it. So we're putting this CRLS bounce in a way where it's hitting her face, but my issue that it feels very sourcey, it feels very lit. So in order to counteract that, I'm gonna put a little bit of a bounce board on the other side of her face, and hopefully that'll even it out a little. And then rolling.
I hope it was super informative.
Yeah, we're kind of bringing it back to basics, but you got to see what every little thing does. If you did learn something new, let me know in the comments.
And also drop your suggestions on cinematography topics that you want us to talk about. Stuff like how to do a location scout.
What are the different types of Bowens mount modifiers?
What should a cinematographer wear on set?
How do you make a lighting diagram? There's like a million of these.
Let us know your comment questions, but we got some that we're gonna answer. You wanna have first dibs?
Who is usually responsible for the clapperboard thing? So
the clapperboard thing.
The clapperboard. So this
Obviously.
is a film slate, and this is how you make sure that the editor knows what take it was, what the frame rate and everything was.
What roll it is.
And it's usually the second AC who uses the clapper, the second assistant camera.
Exactly.
But sometimes you don't have a second AC, so sometimes the first AC does it, or even the producer or PA, because sometimes you ain't got that budge.
Do you have to get a permit when you shoot? Ooh. I would say yes. I'm setting the record right now. It's always good to have a permit. We have big equipment here, lots of people working for us, lots of money. It'd be a shame if the neighbor nearby was like, excuse me, do you have a permit? No, we're shutting you down.
That's true. Although, if you're by yourself in your bedroom making YouTube videos, you don't need one.
No, I think you need a permit for that too. Yeah, okay. Happy shooting.
Moses. Can't take the trash out, guys.
Oh, snap. Wait, check out that drip. Check out that drip. Look down there. Look down there.
I was able to make those shots earlier.
Give us a little runway walk down this driveway right now. It's